What's happening, YouTube? Jonathan Pariente, The Education 10 here, coming at you guys with another video. Want to ask you guys to please continue to check and subscribe to my channel for more YouTube videos. So, another season is over, wrapped up for the New York Jets. Jets will not make the playoffs for the 9th straight year, but there were definitely some signs of improvement from this year's club. They went 7-9 this season. They went 6-2 in the second half after starting 1-7. And you definitely saw improvements out of quarterback Sam Darnold. Were they tremendous improvements right off the bat? I mean, weren't blow me away, but he threw fewer interceptions. He threw more touchdowns, a bit more. His completion percentage went up. And he seems to slowly be getting better. And I mean slowly, not gradually, but slowly. He's getting better at getting rid of the ball a little quicker, too. Now, obviously, there are going to be the Jet fans that said, hey, despite everything that happened, it's incredible the Jets finished the season the way they did. But then there's going to be some on the other side that are, oh, it's same old Jets. Sam Darnold's no good. Adam Gase needs to get fired. Blah, 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 blah. Do I think Adam Gase is the answer for the Jets at their head coach position? No. But Gase is who we're going to have for next year. Chris Johnson already said it. Gase is our guy in 2020. So I'm willing to give Coach Gase, now that he at least, now that the Jets finished respectably 7-9, I will give him the benefit of the doubt for next year. He'll have another year now with Darnold, and let's see if Darnold can make further improvements than from what he did this year. But let's look at the Jets and really break down what really hurt this team this year and why they finished the way they did. One, their offensive line, which is going to be a big need the Jets are going to have to deal with going forward for next year. They need to fix that O-line, and they have to draft an O-line this year. Too many times, Sam Darnold was running for his life, not having time to make the throws, getting sacked, or just you constantly felt like every time the ball was snapped to Darnold, he was going to get sacked within a matter of a second or two, because that O-line doesn't block well for him. The same thing happened when you ran the ball at Le'Veon Bell. The O-line doesn't block, so Le'Veon Bell was barely getting 1 or 2 yards a carry. He would get stuffed at the line and would lose yardage. So the first issue the Jets had was that O-line, no doubt about it. Next, Sam Darnold went down for 3 weeks with mono. And the Jets played 3 of their worst games of the year, pretty much, during that span. I think he was out maybe 5 games, I'm trying to remember, but Darnold was out at least 3 games, and the Jets played 3 of their worst games of the year. They got blown out on Monday night by Cleveland, at home. They got blown out by New England. They flat laid an egg against... they flat laid an egg against Philly. Well, that was just horrible the way they played. But you look at all 3 of those games, the Jets couldn't even crack a touchdown with Luke Falk. So not having Darnold for those 3 weeks was big. The Jets maybe could have won at least 2 of those 3 games. If you count the Eagles and the Browns. Jets could have won 2 of those games. Maybe they would be a wild card at this point. Then you look at the couple of games the Jets lost that they should not have lost this year. The loss to Buffalo was a killer to start the year. You go up 16-0 and you couldn't hold the lead. C.J. Mosley went down and he never came back pretty much the rest of the year. Jets ended up losing that game to Buffalo by 1 point to start the season. The Jets let a winless Miami team beat them. And then a few weeks down the road, a winless Bengals team beat them. So, those could have been 3 wins right there as well. So you look at it this way, if everything went right for this Jet team and they didn't have these injuries, and maybe if the O-line had blocked a little bit and did their job, the Jets would have had maybe 12 wins altogether. And who knows? I mean, they weren't going to beat New England. New England beat them both times this year, so they were not going to win the East. But they were for sure a wild card team, no doubt about it. So you look at the issues the Jets had. They had no O-line. Darnold was hurt 3 weeks. And just overall, like, the Jets didn't have a real breakout wide receiver. Yeah, you got Robbie Anderson, but he's not Julio Jones. He's not Michael Thomas. He's not Devontae Adams. Sorry, Robbie Anderson's not in that league. The Jets need a number one go-to wide receiver that Sam Darnold will be comfortable at all times throwing the football to when a game is on the line. Now, there will be one such prospect coming out in the draft this year. I believe his name is CeeDee Lamb. I don't know how early in the draft he will go. The Jets have the 11th pick in this draft. So I don't know if they'll try to trade up for him. But right now, the Jets have to look at the O-line in the first round. Forget about wide receiver. Maybe you can grab a diamond in the rough later on. Or maybe they can even get one in free agency. But the Jets right now have to look at an O-line with the coming draft. That's the only way, shape, and form they're going to get there. Have to. So, as we also break down the defense, the Jet defense had its struggles as well. They weren't perfect the first half of the year. As I said, Mosley, Jamal Adams for a little time, Henry Anderson, Williamson, every part of their defense you can imagine, their main meat of their defense was hurt this year. So they were playing shorthanded on defense at times, and I give Greg Williams a lot of credit for how he was able to stabilize things despite everything that happened, and this Jet defense finished number 2 against the run, which is incredible. The Jets overall finished a respectable 11th place ranked in team defense, which is, for one, compared to where they were at the start, where they were dead last in pretty much every category, Greg Williams did some things right. Maybe you wonder if he would have been the head coach. Who knows? And then you have Adam Gase. Well, everybody was waiting for him to be fired. All Jet fans couldn't wait for him to go. They were 1-7. Heck, the Jets even paid a little money to have a plane flying around with a advertisement saying, "Fire Gase." Now, I know Adam Gase is not the most popular coach among many Jet fans. A lot of Jet fans can't wait for him to go. They think he's not the answer. But for him to somehow get this Jet team back on track after the miserable start, I'll tell you this, most teams in this league after 1-7 would have packed it in and just tanked for the rest of the year. I give the Jets credit for not doing that. They wanted to play. And even at 1-7, they had an outside chance of being in the playoffs. A very outside chance. I mean, they would have had to run the table if they wanted to have even a shot at that. But for this Jet team and how they bounced back like they did, you got to give them credit. But now the real test will begin next year. Sam Darnold will be entering his 3rd year as Jet quarterback. And while he's made improvements in his 2nd year, you wonder, will he be able to keep that up going into his 3rd year, which is always the big year for quarterbacks. First year, you're getting your feet wet. You're going to make mistakes your first year. That's normal. You won't have always extremely high expectations in your first year, depending on the quarterback you are. 2nd year, you're expected to make improvements. Not massive or drastic. Obviously, you're still going to go through struggles, but you're expected to show some signs of growing up in maturity. By your 3rd year, you have to really be able to show your coach and show management that you are the guy of the future, and that you are indeed the guy of the future. And by your 4th year, by the 3rd year, there's no more excuses. By the 4th year, there should definitely be no excuses. So Sam Darnold is going to have to prove that in his 3rd year. Will we see better play from Darnold in his 3rd year? Will he cut down on the mistakes? Will he cut down on the turnovers? Will he have a better completion percentage? depending on if the Jets address the issues at hand with the O-line, with a wide receiver. They also do need a kicker. I'm still a little nervous about Sam Ficken, even though he turned out to be better than that Vedvik guy was in the first week. Honestly, Vedvik didn't play in that first game, and Ficken did. We would have probably beaten Buffalo. So that's how you have to look at it if you're a Jets fan right now. And we will see what the Jets will change up in the for the next season here, and what additions they will make, and will Darnold make the improvements that everybody thinks he can. But I will say this. The schedule the Jets have next year is going to be very, very tricky. I have it right up here. The Jets will take on the AFC and the NFC West next year. Not an easy schedule. So the Jets are going to see Patrick Mahomes. They're going to see Jared Goff. They're going to see Russell Wilson. They're going to see Phillip Rivers. They're going to see Jimmy Garoppolo. So they're going to have they're going to see also the second-year quarterback Kyler Murray. So the Jets are going to have a very interesting schedule next year. And here's the real kicker. 3 of these games are going to be on the West Coast with the time zones that the Jets have to adjust to. So they're going to have to go to Seattle, very loud place to play. They're going to have to go to Arrowhead, second loudest place to play. They have to go to Los Angeles to play the Rams, pretty loud place. They have to go to LA to play the Chargers. So that's already 4 of their 8 road games that are going to be in 2 time zones. The Jets will also have the 2 throw-in games against an AFC South and an AFC North opponent. It will be the Colts and the Browns. The Colts, the Jets will play on the road. The Browns, the Jets will play at home. The Jets will see the Niners at home, so they'll play Garoppolo at the MetLife. They'll play the Broncos at home. They'll play Oakland at home, so a little rematch with the Raiders as well. So overall, you look at this schedule and you have to say to yourself, well, how will the Jets conquer this schedule? This will be a tough one, I'm not going to lie. And unless the Jets make the improvements that I hope they make this offseason, I don't know how they will do against this schedule. Because particularly when you're playing Mahomes and you're playing Russell Wilson on the road on their stadium turf, usually most of the time teams don't win those games. I'm not saying the Jets won't win those games. But I have to see tremendous improvement out of these Jets to even have a feeling of hope that they're going to beat teams like Russell Wilson, and if they're going to beat teams like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. They have to show this offseason how serious they are about being a contender next year. Because this schedule compared to the one they had this year was a catnap. This schedule is a murder schedule. So we're going to see, Jet fans, for 2020. Are the Jets going to take that step to the next level and trying to get into the playoff and be a playoff team next year? The expectations are now starting to be high. The Jets have some pieces for Darnold now. They have some players that Darnold can get the ball to that I feel pretty comfortable with. But now Darnold needs to take that next step to being the quarterback that all of Jet Nation envisions he could be. He's had great support in his corner. When you have players like Chad Pennington that sees potential in him, when you have guys like Hines Ward, who actually I think really turned out to be one of the best additions the Jets had to their offense, having him with the wide receivers, I think has been incredible for the Jets. When you have Hines Ward, a veteran of his caliber and a Super Bowl champion, also saying he sees potential in Darnold and comparing him to certain quarterbacks, even compares him to Big Ben. That says a lot. But now Darnold has to make sure that all those words can live up to his hype. So we'll see. Jets season is over. Playoffs begin next week with the wild card game. I'll have a video on that in the coming days. But for now, the Jets are going to have to look forward to 2020, looking forward to the draft, looking forward to their 2020 regular season next year. Jonathan Pariente, The Education 10, saying bye for now.